The biggest immediate Democratic threat to the liberals is Donald Trump. Once again, Trump is not a threat to democracy. Donald Trump is a threat of democracy to them. And they admit this. They say, oh no, Trump is leading in the polls. Most voters want to vote for Trump. That's a threat to democracy. Most voters doing anything can't be a threat to democracy because democracy simply means government by the people. So what they're really talking about is liberalism, of course. And Trump is probably the biggest threat to their version of liberalism, secular, globalist liberalism in my lifetime. And he's really coming at them pretty strong. So they're trying to shut him down. How are they trying to shut him down? They're trying to bankrupt him. They're trying to put him into prison. They're prosecuting him on 4 fronts. And they're prosecuting him at the local level. They're prosecuting him at the federal level. But they just had a setback, which is that the Supreme Court has agreed to hear President Trump's request to decide whether or not he is immune from prosecution on charges of attempting to overturn the results of the 2020 election. So President Trump is being accused of trying to overturn the results of the election. He didn't exactly do that. He was questioning an election that was obviously rigged, and they're trying to jail him for that. Well, what do? He's running for president again. He's ostensibly the Republican nominee. He elevates this up to the Supreme Court. The court will consider, quote, whether and if so, to what extent does a former president enjoy presidential immunity from criminal prosecution for conduct alleged to involve official acts during his tenure in office. Now, this is actually a very important question. Whether you love Trump or hate Trump or you care about the 2024 election or not, this is a very important question because in banana republics and tin pot dictatorships, when a party falls out of power, their opponents who come into power prosecute the ousted party. That's what happens in a lot of unstable regimes. In our country, we don't do that. That's just not the sort of thing we do. We certainly don't prosecute people for things that they did while they were in office, official acts as president of the United States. And we don't do that not because sometimes presidents don't get a little bit loose with the law. Barack Obama certainly did. He behaved in a way that was not only illegal, weaponizing the government against his enemies, but unconstitutional in the case of the executive amnesty. We don't even really do it with Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton perjured himself as president of the United States. It's a very serious crime. He was impeached when he was president, but we didn't go after try to throw him in prison after he left office. Clintons have done many, many shady things that were pretty clearly criminal over the years. We just don't do it. And we don't do it not because we like the Clintons, not because we like Obama, not because we like Trump, but because that would pose a grave threat to the integrity of the office of the president and to the way that our government functions. So the court has decided that oral arguments will begin the week of April 22nd, and the court has instructed the appellate court to keep special counsel Jack Smith's case against President Trump, paused until the Supreme Court reaches a decision, obviously, because the Supreme Court is going to decide whether or not Trump has immunity. That's the bedrock of the entire Jack Smith investigation into Trump, the whole federal Joe Biden DOJ-led investigation into Biden's top political rival. Why is the court hearing this? Because they have to, of course. I mean, if the Supreme Court doesn't hear a question like this, what are they supposed to hear? What are they supposed to decide? We have co-equal branches of government for this reason, to have checks and balances, to have a separation of powers, and to resolve questions for which there is no immediately clear answer. So it's not going to be an appellate court that does that. It's not going to be a district court that does that. It's going to be the Supreme Court of the United States. Right now, go to expressvpn.com/Michael Knowles Show. You've heard me talk about how important it is to have a VPN to protect your online privacy, but choosing a VPN you trust is equally important. I can confidently say that ExpressVPN is the best VPN on the market. For starters, ExpressVPN does not log your online activity. Many cheap or free VPNs make money by selling your data to advertisers, but ExpressVPN doesn't do this. They have even developed a technology called Trusted Server that makes their VPN servers incapable of storing data. ExpressVPN also uses Lightway, a new VPN protocol they engineered to make user speeds faster than ever. ExpressVPN is always blazing fast. It lets me stream videos in HD quality with zero buffering. Not to mention, ExpressVPN is incredibly easy to use. You don't need any technical skills to set it up. Just fire up the app and tap one button to connect. Even your grandparents could do it. Even I can do it. Protect yourself with the VPN that I use and trust. Use my link, expressvpn.com/Michael Knowles Show today. Get an extra 3 months free on a 1-year package. expressvpn.com/Michael Knowles Show. The liberals are furious over this. The gals over at The View are suggesting, as the libs always do, this is the end of democracy.
They're listening to these arguments in April. The end of their term is in June, right? They return again, I believe, in October. The Bush v. Gore case happened real quick. Do you remember that? The Supreme Court knows how to work real fast.
That was the day democracy died.
Well, it was certainly an injustice to many people.
It's on its way.
I think.
So I guess that's a relief that democracy already died 20 years ago, 24 years ago, so we don't need to worry about democracy dying again. But it wasn't the day democracy died, and it wasn't an injustice at all. And most libs who bring up Bush v. Gore as a way to attack the credibility of the Supreme Court know absolutely nothing about that case. The irony of Joy Behar saying, the Bush v. Gore case is the day democracy died. The Bush v. Gore decision upheld democracy by saying that the vote, which was clear enough, it was a close election in Florida, but it was clear enough, and there were recounts, and it stands. The guy the people elected gets to be the president. And when the libs tell you that this is an outrage to democracy because it was a 5-4 decision, and it was the 5 conservative judges who ruled for Bush, and it was the 4 liberal judges who ruled for Gore, that isn't even true. There were 2 decisions that came out. One over the substance of the case, over the Equal Protection Clause, over how the election was conducted, and 2, a remedy for what to do because the supposedly greatest democracy in the world couldn't conduct a presidential election. On the more substantive matter, the decision was 7-2. So you had 2 liberals coming over and siding with the conservatives. It was only on the remedy. What do we do now? Do we drag out this recount even further and stop the president of the United States, who obviously won the election, from taking office when he's supposed to? We can't even have the peaceful transfer of power in the United States. Are we going to do that? Or are we just going to cut to the chase and uphold what everyone has found already, which is that Bush won the election? Well, that was very bad, though, because the people elected Bush, and the people had to be wrong. They had to be wrong. Even though, I guess technically, that was an expression of democracy, it can't be. Because for the liberals, democracy, if the people are operating in a rational way, they always have to vote for the liberals. So any time that the people oppose the liberals, any time the people vote for the conservatives, in the liberals' minds, it has to be an attack on democracy. Somehow, either because you've suppressed a vote, or you've brainwashed people, or you've put them under a false consciousness where they're voting against their own interests, or whatever they're going to call it, it can't ever be legitimate for people to vote for the conservatives and to vote against the liberals, because the glories of liberal government are just so clear that if they don't win, something had to go wrong. The election had to be, in the face of all evidence, it had to be illegitimate. Man, that was a good clip, huh? I was great, is what I would say. Now, if you want more of them, ring that bell. Subscribe to the Michael Knowles YouTube channel. We'll see you next time.